Mogwai has a new album on Chemical Underground, just Come on Die Young. About the producer of this album, I read about that he's a Mercury Rev integrant. So how it was working with an American, I think he's an American producer. And what do you think about the music that Mercury Rev does? Because it's very different. I think it's very different than Mogwai. But how it was working with him?
Really enjoyed it. I mean, we kind of like had the idea to do it because the band that owned Chemical Underground, the Delgados, were going to record with Dave Fredman, but it didn't happen. So they had all the information about the studio, and I think the fact he's American didn't really make any difference. And the place that we recorded in Fredonia, upstate New York, it's not very different to Scotland. Scenery-wise, there's just more bears and wolves. It's just a good guy. Mercury Rev's music they make now is very different. In the past, they've been a very, very noisy band, so he's got a love of noise that we appreciate.
Do you think in the future you're going to use more vocals, or do you prefer to play guitar and have this marvelous sound, this fantastic sound of your guitar?
Well, there's certainly not many marvelous sounds coming out of my mouth, so I don't know.
I saw you were like, that's why I'm talking about.
It depends on the songs we write. We really don't think about what we're going to do. If we write a song and it feels empty, or it feels as though lyrics would sound good in the song, then we do it. It's just that most songs we do, we write it in a way that the melodies played on the guitars and the pianos, the bass, it fills the song up, so it doesn't really require any singing. But we might one day do a fully vocal album, but I'd be surprised to see how many people wanted to buy it.
To end this interview, I think I'm going to do, because you have to explain to the Brazilians what happened with Mogwai and Lado. That's the real question.
Nothing really happened. We just think they're terrible. It's as simple as that.
Much the state of affairs, they're just rubbish. They're a terrible band, and Dave and the lead singer is one of the most horrible, evil, repugnant men on the planet. He's repulsive, I hate him. So that's it.
Malcolmus from Pavement. You're watching Lado.
I want a range life, if I could settle down, if I could settle down, then I would settle down.
The style is still the same Pavement. Even when you bring in someone like Nigel, who has a big reputation of working with other very popular alternative acts. He came to Pavement as a fan of Pavement first, and he wants it to sound like Pavement. He doesn't want it to sound like Nigel, so just Nigel Godrich. So he says, you know, we're talking, it's what are we going to do? And what really happens is he just becomes another member of the band for that 2 months instead of it just being us, and brings his knowledge of studio expertise, and just got to trust him to let it sound the way he thinks it should sound, knowing that he's a big fan of the band. So that's basically what we did.
Give and take a little bit. Got to give him a little room to do his creative part, and he's got to do the same thing for us.
Different with a producer that way, just like letting another guy in the band.
Early days Pavement was had the influences of British bands just like the Fall. Nowadays, British bands are influenced by Pavement. Can you tell us about this change of...
Yeah. Well, for us, Slant and Enchanted was definitely influenced by the dour Manchester band, The Fall. I just thought they were brilliant. Mark Smith, brilliant lyricist, and really smarter than everyone else, and cooler, and it's interesting that as time's gone on, I think some of those bigger bands in England, maybe they were looking for, they'd already made their big pop albums, and they were looking for a way to be a little more personal, and they're not so worried about producing a hit single or something. And look, they even got a bigger hit single with that song too. So it's kind of funny. Strange to us, but we don't really know what to say about it.
What are your favorite British bands at the moment?
Of the moment,
I love
You like them?
that record is really, really good.
They are
You like
well.
them?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I tend to like the Scottish bands more. I feel more of an allegiance with Bounce Sebastian and Mogwai and Delgados, and just...
I think the Tindersticks recorded a Pavement song for a Sub Pop.
They did, yeah, they did here. I know, yeah, I like them. I haven't heard their new album. I know Tindersticks have a new album out just this last few months, but I haven't heard it.
Have you ever invited to play in Brazil for any managers or in this meantime, or never?
We did get invited for our last album was called Brighten the Corners, and there was talk of coming down.
I just set it up.
Yeah.
We couldn't get it all.
Yeah, it's on the tail end of a long touring. As you might know, bands, we just touring so much, and we wanted to go and just be really enthused and happy and excited to play. And at that moment, we were like, ooh, we played so many shows. We were just going to wait. So we'd love to come. Obviously, it'd be great to come in the winter for us because it'd be summer down there. And just be fantastic.
Someday when we go, we're going to have a great time. We're going to be fresh. So someday.
Just don't have, if you see the light change the whole devil hanging, she said, well, you think it's easy, but you're wrong, 'cause I'm not one half of the problem, serious pain, it's not my fault, it's just holding back all that me run. What does it mean, a mistake or two? There's a kind of mistakes they just can't trace to the bound.